Look at these lines.
Which one is longer, A or B? It's obvious, right? A child could see it. But what if everyone around you said B? What if they all agreed? Confident, unanimous. In 1951, Solomon Asch proved that 75% of people would deny their own eyes just to fit in. Would you speak the truth, or would you follow the herd? In 1951, there was no prison, no laboratory machine, no authority giving orders. There was only a room, a table, several chairs, a group of people sitting side by side. They were told they were participating in a simple perception test. No deception. At least, that's how it appeared. The task was trivial. A line was shown on a card. Another card displayed 3 lines. One of them was clearly the same length. The answer was obvious. A child could see it. There was no ambiguity. The participants took turns answering aloud, one by one, publicly, unbeknownst to one person in the room. Everyone else was part of the experiment. They had been instructed to give the same wrong answer, not once, but repeatedly. There were no threats, no pressure spoken aloud, just agreement. One voice said the wrong line, then another, until the answer felt unanimous. Then it was the real participant's turn. He could see the correct answer. Nothing had changed on the card, only the people. He hesitated, spoke softly, and often chose to agree with the group, not because he believed them, but because standing alone felt heavier than being wrong. The experiment did not test vision. It tested how much reality we are willing to abandon to avoid isolation. The group did not raise its voice. It did not argue. It simply answered. Each response matched the one before it, the same wrong line delivered with quiet confidence. No one laughed. No one hesitated. No one looked unsure. This was not pressure in the usual sense. There were no threats. No consequences were stated aloud, but something shifted with each identical answer. The room began to lean. The participant felt it immediately. A subtle imbalance, as if the correct answer were becoming inappropriate. The lines on the card did not change, but certainty did. When people agree, agreement feels like truth, not because it is correct, but because it is shared. The participant began to doubt not the group, but himself. He checked the card again. He checked his memory. He checked his confidence. Nothing changed except his position in the room. To disagree would mean standing alone. To agree would mean being wrong, together. For many, togetherness mattered more. They chose to align their answer with the group. Not loudly, not confidently, but clearly enough. Afterward, when asked why, they did not say they believed the group. They said they did not want to be different. This was conformity, not enforced, but invited. The majority never demanded agreement. It simply made disagreement feel abnormal. Not everyone conformed. Some participants looked at the card, then at the group, and spoke the truth anyway. They did not raise their voice. They did not argue. They simply disagreed. The reaction was immediate. Heads turned, eyes lingered. Silence followed. Nothing else happened, and yet, everything had changed. To disagree was to become visible, to stand out, to mark oneself as different. Some participants held their answer. They repeated it when asked again. Others faltered. Their voices softened. Their certainty weakened. They were not afraid of being wrong. They were afraid of being alone. Asch changed one detail. He added a single ally. One other person who answered correctly. Just one. The effect was immediate. Conformity dropped sharply. Confidence returned. The participant no longer felt isolated. Truth no longer felt dangerous. The ally did not need authority. He did not persuade. He simply existed. This revealed something critical. The pressure was never about facts. It was about social cost. Remove isolation, and resistance becomes possible. People did not need to be convinced. They needed permission. The individual does not need to be brave forever, only long enough for one other person to speak. When the experiment concluded, nothing dramatic happened. No confrontation, no collapse, just results. Across multiple trials, the pattern was clear. When faced with a unanimous majority, most participants abandoned their own judgment. 75% of participants conformed at least once. They did not believe the group was correct. They simply agreed. On average, participants conformed in 1/3 of the trials, not constantly, not blindly, but often enough to be predictable. This was not ignorance. When interviewed afterward, participants demonstrated they knew the correct answers. The mistake was social, not perceptual. Asch varied the conditions. He removed unanimity. He reduced the group size. He altered seating positions. Each change reduced conformity. When just one person disagreed with the group, even inconsistently, conformity collapsed. The majority did not need to be correct. It only needed to be united. This revealed the true mechanism. People were not copying answers. They were managing risk. The risk of standing alone, the risk of being visible, the risk of social separation. Asch concluded that conformity was not a flaw of weak minds. It was a feature of social life. Agreement signals safety. Disagreement signals danger. The experiment did not show that people prefer lies. It showed that most people will trade truth for belonging when forced to choose. The results were not surprising. They were measurable and repeatable. The experiment ended quietly. The cards were collected. The chairs were pushed back. The room returned to normal. But the behavior did not stay there. Outside the laboratory, the same forces were already at work. In classrooms, in offices, in neighborhoods. They encounter opinions, consensus, silence. The pressure is rarely explicit. No one says you must agree. They simply agree without you. Agreement accumulates. It fills the room. It becomes atmosphere. Dissent, by contrast, feels disruptive, uncomfortable, socially expensive. Asch did not argue that conformity is always wrong. It allows groups to function, it reduces friction, it creates cohesion. But it also explains why errors spread, why silence multiplies, why obvious falsehoods can feel untouchable. Most people do not abandon truth because they hate it. They abandon it because belonging feels safer. The experiment revealed a fragile balance between accuracy and acceptance, between reality and harmony. The presence of just one ally changed everything. Not authority, not proof, just another voice breaking unanimity. This suggests that conformity is not inevitable. It is conditional, dependent on isolation. When disagreement is shared, truth regains weight. The Asch experiment does not ask whether you can see clearly. It asks whether you can speak when clarity costs you comfort. The real question is not, why did they conform? It is, who will speak first?